There's a bottle in your fridge right now. Red cap, thick red sauce, that specific smell when you open it. You've had it your whole life. You probably don't think about it at all. Here's what nobody tells you. That bottle has almost nothing to do with where ketchup actually came from. The word is Chinese. The original recipe had no tomatoes, and for about a century, people were genuinely convinced that tomatoes were poisonous, which means the most popular condiment in the world was almost never invented at all. By the end of this, you'll know what ketchup actually was before someone put tomatoes in it, why it spent 200 years as a completely different product, and how a single bottle of Heinz changed what the word means forever. Let's go back to the beginning. And the beginning is not America. It's not even close to America. Somewhere in southern China or Vietnam, probably around the 17th century, there's a fermented fish sauce called ketchup, sometimes spelled ketchup or ketchup depending on the dialect. It's made from fermented fish, salt, and spices, left to sit and develop for months until it becomes a deeply savory, pungent, almost black liquid. It has almost nothing in common with what you have in your fridge right now. No tomatoes, no sweetness, no thick red texture. It's closer to Worcestershire sauce or to the ancient Roman fish sauce called garum than to anything you'd recognize as ketchup today. British sailors encountered this sauce in Southeast Asian ports during the 1600s and did what British sailors did with things they liked. They brought it home, tried to replicate it with whatever ingredients were available in England, and gradually transformed it into something completely different in the process. Because the specific fish used in the original Asian recipe weren't available in Britain, the sauce started being made with whatever fermented, salty, intensely flavored ingredients were on hand. Mushrooms, walnuts, oysters, anchovies, kidney beans. These all made their way into recipes labeled ketchup in 18th century British cookbooks. Mushroom ketchup was particularly popular and remained common in Britain well into the 20th century. None of these contained tomatoes. And here's where it gets interesting. Tomatoes were available in Europe by the 1600s. They'd arrived from the Americas with Spanish explorers, but Europeans were deeply suspicious of them, and for a reason that made more sense at the time than it sounds now. Tomatoes are in the nightshade family, which includes several genuinely poisonous plants. The leaves and stems of the tomato plant are indeed toxic. In parts of Europe, particularly Britain and Northern Europe, tomatoes were grown as ornamental plants. People liked how they looked, but eating them was considered dangerous, possibly fatal. The wealthy, who ate from pewter plates high in lead content, sometimes did get sick after eating tomatoes, because the acid in tomatoes leached lead from the plates. This confirmed the suspicion. Tomatoes, many people believed, would kill you. This is why tomato ketchup took so long to arrive. Not because nobody thought of it, because for most of the period when ketchup was being developed and refined, the main ingredient in the version we use today was widely believed to be poisonous. The shift started in America, and it started slowly. By the early 1800s, Americans were eating tomatoes, particularly in the South, where they'd been introduced earlier and the poisoning myth had less cultural hold. And someone, at some point, started adding tomatoes to the existing ketchup tradition. The first recorded tomato ketchup recipe appears in an American cookbook in 1812, written by a horticulturalist named James Meese, who described it as love apple sauce, love apple being a common name for tomatoes at the time, possibly a mistranslation of the Italian pomodoro or the French pomme d'amour. Early tomato ketchup didn't look or taste much like the modern version either. It was thin, heavily spiced, and often fermented, closer to the original Asian fish sauce tradition than to what would eventually come. It also had a serious practical problem. It spoiled fast. Without consistent preservatives and without refrigeration, homemade tomato ketchup could go bad within days. Recipes from the mid-1800s often included ingredients we'd now recognize as concerning: coal tar dyes for color, borax as a preservative, because the alternative was a sauce that turned rancid before you could use it. The person who solved this problem, and in so doing essentially created the modern ketchup industry, was Henry John Heinz. In 1876, Heinz introduced a tomato ketchup that used significantly more sugar and more vinegar than previous recipes, both of which act as natural preservatives. The higher acidity and sugar content meant his ketchup had a dramatically longer shelf life than competitors' products without needing chemical additives. It also tasted different, sweeter, more balanced, less aggressively spiced, and it was consistent. Every bottle tasted the same, which was a genuinely new thing for a condiment in 1876, when most ketchup was still made at home from highly variable recipes.
Heinz also made a decision about packaging that turned out to be one of the most consequential choices in food marketing history. He put his ketchup in a clear glass bottle. This seems obvious now, but at the time, most condiments and sauces came in opaque containers. The clear bottle let consumers see exactly what they were buying: the color, the texture, the consistency. It was a transparency that implied quality and purity at a time when food adulteration was rampant, and consumers had no way to verify what was in anything they bought. The clear Heinz bottle communicated trustworthiness before a single word was read. By the early 1900s, Heinz ketchup had become so dominant that it essentially redefined the word. Ketchup stopped meaning any thin, savory, fermented condiment sauce. It started meaning specifically this thick, sweet, tomato-based product in a glass bottle. Every other variety, mushroom ketchup, walnut ketchup, oyster ketchup, faded. The 200-year tradition of non-tomato ketchup essentially disappeared from mainstream consciousness within a generation. Here's what's quietly remarkable about that chain. A fermented fish sauce from Southeast Asia, carried by British sailors, transformed through 2 centuries of European experimentation into something unrecognizable, then reimagined again with a fruit that half the world thought was poisonous, then stabilized and sweetened and packaged in a clear glass bottle by one man in Pittsburgh. And the result sits in 1 billion refrigerators used without a second thought on French fries and burgers and scrambled eggs and everything else. The bottle in your fridge is the end of a 400-year game of culinary telephone, played across 3 continents where almost every step of the process produced something completely different from what came before it. The only thing that stayed constant is the name. Everything else, the ingredients, the texture, the color, the flavor, the purpose, changed completely, multiple times, before landing on what you recognize today. Next time someone asks you to pass the ketchup, you can tell them it used to be fermented fish. See how that goes.